The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome to the 15-Point Plan. We are here to help you increase your energy with the system that Ben Kinney has created. And today on this episode, we're going to talk about hobbies. And I am joined by the level-headed Jillene Snell. Hello, Jillene.
Hey, Chad. I'm excited about this topic today.
I know you are because, wow, I think we've actually recorded it 6 times just in conversation, you and I, before we actually turned on the recording of this. You are so excited about this topic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's fun. It takes us away from some of our normal, everyday thinking and ruts and patterns into like, hey, how can we spice up our life and bring a little bit more joy and purpose?
It's a great point. And it made it on the 15-Point Plan because we're helping you create more energy. We're helping you get out of the rut that's in your life. And that means taking some time to yourself. And a hobby truly is that, Jillene.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking in the dictionary. I like to get the dictionary definitions of a lot of these words because, well, I'm not a good speaker guy when it comes to language. So I like to see what the dictionary's got to say. And here's how the dictionary defines a hobby. It is a pursuit outside one's regular occupation, engaged in, especially for, relaxation. Now, Jillene, that's kind of a whole bunch of words that don't necessarily flow like a great sentence. Why don't you define, in your words, what a hobby is?
I think it's a leisurely activity that we choose, that we do on a regular basis, ideally even daily. And it brings joy to our lives. It's not our main occupation, so it's probably not necessarily paying the bills.
Right.
It could turn into that one day, right? But it's something that, like I said, it's going to spice up our life and maybe even get us into a creative thinking space that it does interrupt the pattern of our day and bring really good things.
Yeah, and we'll talk about some people's hobbies later on, but I think you made a great point there of it not being our occupation. It's not paying the bills. And one of the things I was saying before we started is Eddie Van Halen would not have considered guitar playing a hobby. It was a profession to him.
Sure.
Meanwhile, Dave, our behind-the-scenes producer here of our podcast, guitar playing is a hobby to him. That's what he loves to do for fun, to relax, to let his creative juices flow.
And what about you, Chad? What are your hobbies?
Well, my hobbies are working out. I mean, that's
Okay.
my hobby. Working out and watching movies. Those are probably my hobbies, and you could probably tell by watching me on Facebook what are the things I'm posting about the most: working out and watching movies.
Exactly. And you do that every single week, so it's a consistent hobby for you.
Yes.
And I think that's how you know it's a hobby.
Yes, something
Right?
I do. It allows me to unplug, turn myself off, relax, escape into that creative space, that playful place or whatever it is, and bring me energy when it's done.
Absolutely.
How about you? What's a hobby or 3 that Jillene has?
Boy. So one of my absolute favorites growing up was riding motorcycles. I rode dirt bikes, I rode street bikes, and I couldn't think of a better hobby than that. However, life changes and you make different decisions. So my hobbies have evolved.
Okay.
And right now, one of my hobbies is recording this podcast. I do a lot of study associated with it. It's fun. I love it. It brings me joy. I get to hang out with Chad and all of you. But I love agate hunting on beaches. So I find agates, it takes a lot of work and you have to have an eye for it. And then when I find it, I feel like it actually brings me good energy into my life and my day. And I collect those. I haven't done anything with them yet, like create a necklace or something. Maybe one day I will.
Okay.
And yachting goes along with that.
Yep.
I love fashion, Chad. I'm into fashion.
I'll keep my mouth closed on that, seeing what you're wearing today that you'd consider fashion something. Keep
Yeah.
going, though, Jillene.
3 different shades of green today,
If
but
you call that green, sure. Green on green on green. Yes, all right.
But even with fashion, I have a best friend. Her name is Melissa, and her and I text things back and forth that we love because we have similar taste.
Sure.
And it becomes a hobby that I can do with someone else.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why I love it.
Yeah, it's a great way you say that. And again, it's not something that's paying the bills. It would be like, I don't know, there's a difference between being a day trader and just having a hobby of playing in the stock market.
Right.
And I know Ben loves sitting there researching stuff about the stock market, and he'll be sending texts out to friends that are also engaged in that stuff and interactive in that stuff, that it's a hobby. It's not necessarily the paying the bills, and it's not a job. Jillene, let's look at some statistics from 2020.
Let's do it.
Okay, so can you name for me the top 5 hobbies when people were surveyed in 2020. You have any idea what they might have been?
It's music is the number one.
She's cheating. She's reading them.
I
Keep
do
going.
have my
What's number
cheat sheet.
2?
Food is the number 2, and I'm really into that one as well this
Yep.
year.
Okay. 3?
Reading and writing,
Yep.
travel,
Yep.
and then pets.
And isn't that interesting that travel was one of the top 5 hobbies and interests? And this was taken 2020 through the COVID challenge and what was going on.
Exactly. You know what I find really interesting about this too? Reading and writing is one of the top healthiest hobbies that you can have and do, but gardening is as well. And gardening is on the bottom of this list in this study.
Sure.
And
And
gardening,
health and fitness is right in the middle.
exactly. So if you're looking for like the top healthiest hobbies versus like just the most top popular hobbies, gardening is one of the number ones because it improves your brain health. It prevents Alzheimer's, a lot of the studies show. It can improve your immune regulation, your hand strength and dexterity. It reduces depression. There's lots of good things about it. And I'm actually thinking about doing like a potted garden on my deck this year.
Okay.
Volunteering is one of the top healthiest hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about that in our podcast episode about serving.
Yep.
Chess is one of the top healthiest. Cooking, listening to music, board games, and then writing it out. So, you know, the popular ones don't always line up with the healthiest ones, but those are some really great options.
Absolutely, because as you look at the list, number 6 on the top hobbies across the country for the surveys was video games. And there's nothing healthy about it. Nothing healthy. I mean, they're fun. They might relieve stress. They give you that creativity. And I've got friends my age who still play video games every single day. So it's not just that there are a lot of teenagers who are saying this while they're stuck at home. But you can be sure health and fitness falls after video game, yet a lot healthier for us. So, Jillene, you've talked about some of the healthiest hobbies that are out there. Give me some more statistics in the hobbies world. I love stats. I think stats are fun. So give me some hobby statistics.
I think stats might be a hobby for Chad, actually.
I guess it could be.
So in this Target Markets survey in the last few years, 56% of respondents said that they have multiple hobbies.
Okay, so
20
we can have more than one hobby.
Yeah, exactly. And that's ideal because like some hobbies are seasonal, right? Like snowboarding is seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us, like Dave, our producer, loves to snowboard. I love to boat. And of course, I'm only doing that mostly in the summer.
Sure.
And so I think it's good to have multiple hobbies that you can do all year long.
Okay.
So
you could always move somewhere warmer. You could boat all year. Keep going. Give me some more of
I
these
might
statistics.
have to. Florida, California sounds great.
Okay.
24% said they had just one real hobby that they practice or participate in regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And 20% said they didn't have any hobbies at all.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think this podcast could actually help change that for someone if they're like, hey, I don't think I have a hobby. Work is my hobby. I'm hoping that those people who are listening today will actually get some ideas of what they could implement, or maybe even hobbies they're doing already that they didn't even know was a hobby.
Okay.
They just might want to do it a little bit more consistently so they've got that routine shift during the day.
And as we help our audience as they're figuring out some hobbies and why they should have a hobby, talk about some of the popular things. It says here, you had tracked down that 42% said that they have hobbies that are related to games, and 41% of people said it was arts or craft type hobbies that are in there. Keep going with that list so people get some ideas of what, you know, their fellow people are doing out there.
39% said they enjoy collecting things, kind of like collecting agates. 30% enjoy the outdoors. 20% enjoy things related to sports or athletics, and 8% enjoy building things.
Okay.
I always admire those people because I have no skill set in that area, and I love looking at like the handcrafted wood products. Like I love those.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff. It's like I can't paint for my life. I mean, of course, someone will say, Chad, if you say you can't paint,
Right.
yeah, I can paint, but I can't create some of these masterpieces that, boy, I love going to an art gallery and just seeing some of that stuff that I guess I can add to a hobby because I can't walk by an art gallery and not go in and unplug for a while and checking it out. So there you go. You're helping me figure out some more of mine. Let's talk about some really fun hobby options, Jillene. So as you were doing your research, there were some ridiculous hobbies that were out there. And I don't mean ridiculous in the sense that, folks, I'm putting you down if this is your hobby. I just mean they were out there as a hobby that didn't come to our mind when we thought about it. What are some of those?
Well, we kept this PG, of course.
Of course.
There's a lot of wacky hobbies out there, but we took a few of the ones that we thought were fun or just interesting as an option. The first one I've got on the list is Toyvoyaging, which is something that people do when they like take an animal or like a little figurine and they take it on traveling and adventures and they take pictures and they post it online.
Yeah, there was something called like Flat Stanley or something like that. I think I remember from years ago that people had this picture of this character they were supposed to take pictures of places. So that's taking something with you and taking pictures of it at the Eiffel Tower and then pictures of it at the wherever you are.
I think my hobby is to take a picture of myself in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, so I don't know if that counts as toy voyaging, though. Maybe you got something in your pocket. You got some other interesting ones on here. You had sand art is actually a hobby. People creating sand art.
In my hometown, there's this place called Harrison Hot Springs outside of Chilliwack, BC. And they do this huge, like, sandcastle competition every year. And I would walk by that as a child thinking, oh my gosh, these people are talented. And then, of course, like some big storm would happen and it'd all be wiped out. But that was really fun to see. And then I think some other outdoor ones you could do, like geocaching is pretty rad.
Sure.
It gets you outdoors, walking around. You're like focused on finding it. Rock balancing, metal detecting, those are all outdoors. What about upcycling? You mentioned that, Chad.
Yeah, and I only mentioned it because I Googled away, Jillene. You can be sure I'm not upcycling out there. Upcycling is taking things you don't use anymore and repurposing them. It's like recycling, but up instead of just, breaking it down in that regard. So it'd be like take an old glass jar. You have one of those mason jars or something maybe in the house and go spray paint it. And now you've got this really cool looking vase.
I got a bag of them in my house. Can I give them to you?
No.
Okay.
I don't want them. Someone out there might be doing this. There's origami, archery came up. And then we thought this one was actually pretty cool and it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of people. My aunt, this would be one of her hobbies, and that's genealogy. My aunt has created the family tree. She's gone back generations and generations creating our family tree. She's the expert if you want to know how someone's related to someone.
That's fascinating. And a friend of mine actually just did genealogy on their dog and found the dog's brother. And that just happened this week. So there's lots of things you can do with
Interesting. All right, let's talk about some people out there and some of their hobbies. So we mentioned Dave. I mentioned that he plays guitar for fun. You mentioned that he loves snowboarding. We shared some of our hobbies. How about Ben? Let's he's not here to defend himself. What do we consider his hobbies?
Perfect opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
He loves collecting vintage posters.
Oh, yes. If you would look around the room we're in, you'd be seeing them.
Yeah. And he reads a lot of history and will actually go to the places where some of these events took place in our history. And he collects fossils. You can see how all of those are sort of intertwined, as well as he loves Winston Churchill.
Yeah, absolutely.
So his books, his quotes, his posters, some of his philosophy. And then, gosh, we've got some other people on the list.
Yeah, we got some famous people. So we went out there and found some celebrity hobbies. So you can say, hey, I want hobbies like some of these people. So in no specific order, this one just made me laugh. And that was Angelina Jolie. And one of her hobbies is getting tattoos.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, it's a very permanent hobby. Getting tattoos. She also enjoys people watching, which was my grandfather's hobby. He loved to do that.
I wonder if you could do both at the same time, right?
I'm sure.
Right?
All right. Pick someone off the list, Jillene.
Cameron Diaz, she loves to raft. Shaq O'Neal, riding motorcycles and target shooting.
I just love that. Shaq O'Neal. Jillene, I just got to make fun of you. I mean, you just call him Shaq or you got to go full on Shaquille O'Neal. Come on, you basketball star fan over there.
I know. I'm going to get made fun of by Bob Stewart, right?
Absolutely.
Tiger Woods, he is a diver, actually, and he did that because he wanted to get away from the noise and the crowds, and he felt like that was a really peaceful place for him. So again, that brought him a lot of joy. I thought that was pretty cool.
And then Neil Young. I mean, everybody out there, I guess not everybody, but everybody should know who Neil Young is if you've ever listened to music. What's one of Neil Young's hobbies? Because I thought this was pretty awesome.
Collecting model trains and accessories.
Yeah. All right. So Jillene, let's kind of bring this to a close here. Give me the benefits of having a hobby now that we've kind of laughed our way through and talked through some of these.
Well, I think, the obvious one is that it reduces the stresses of life, especially when it's outside of the occupation and our profession. Like we're stepping outside of that to do something we love. And that could be combined with serving. It could be combined with other really productive things or not. It could be just simply doing nothing and maybe meditating. And that those things will improve brain power and cognitive function. It can strengthen our relationships because a lot of these hobbies we're doing with other people. And of course, there's nothing more important in this life, in this world, than relationships. And then I also think that a lot of people, they get so caught up in maybe the negative things that are happening that you see on the news or you read on Facebook, and it can kind of send you into a tailspin. And I think when you have hobbies that take you away from that and take you out of the negative brain space, it can put you in a really positive place. Again, we just want to break up the day by doing these hobbies to improve our life overall. So lots of benefits.
And I'm going to challenge everybody out there. Think about the 15-point plan. So hobbies is one of the 15 points. Think about the other 14 and see how can you tie them together? Can you use one of them as your hobby? So we talked about it, right? Movement, to me, running is a hobby. I love it. Cycling is a hobby. You mentioned geocaching. That would definitely fall under that category, right? We could, journaling could absolutely become a hobby to somebody. I mean, the way you talk about it, I would actually consider it probably one of your hobbies. You really find that relaxation and that enjoyment that comes from it. Laughter, watch cat videos, right? Make that your hobby, that you love watching those or making those or get into stand-up comedy or something along those lines. You could easily tie something from the 15-point plan back so that you earn 2 check marks at once. Mm-hmm. So Jillene, let's wrap this and tell them, how do they earn that check mark on the 15-point plan tracker under the category of hobbies?
What I would do first is just make a list of all of your current hobbies and maybe your potential hobbies, and just highlight the ones that you could do on a daily basis. And then you've got the options. Every single day you can look at that and say, hey, what can I give to myself and maybe even to others while doing that hobby that I can get my check every single day.
All right.
But have a list of options.
Purposeful about spending some time in one of those areas, whatever those hobbies are going to be to you.
Right.
Okay. Awesome. Folks, we want to know what your hobbies are. We want to hear how crazy some of them can be. We want to see, are they individual hobbies? Are they group hobbies? Maybe your hobby is something that'll spark the interest in someone else. So join us in our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/win-make-give, and come find the post when we post about this episode to let us know what your hobby is or is about to become. And until our next episode, we hope that this one ups your energy and takes you to the next level.